What's up, folks? Me again, Mr. B. Welcome again to the channel. And today we want to have a little discussion on a topical issue, this whole question that is being bandied about over the last couple of weeks per se, but has come to the fore more over the last week. And this is the question of the use of shipping containers, or container homes as they are being referred to, which means that they will have they're either importing homes designed out of used shipping containers, or they're gonna um, make them locally. My information is that there is a considerable portion of shipping containers lying down between the two ports, Kingston and Montego Bay, and there is a move afoot to see if we can bring those into the reconstruction to address the housing issue caused by Melissa's damage. And nothing is wrong with trying to find a quick fix to what is a very deleterious situation. People have lost their homes and so on. But there is a but. And that is what we want to address today with this program that I'm titling Container Homes Our Concrete Future. Now, Melissa has basically destroyed a lot of the domestic infrastructure within the 5 named parishes: Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, and to a lesser extent, a little piece of Manchester got touched after the hurricane. But what got the biggest hit was domestic housing. Some 100 and odd thousand, I think up to 140 odd thousand homes were damaged, and a number of them completely destroyed. And the question that I am suggesting to the powers that be to consider is why. The damage is a factor of the force of the hurricane, but how much longer? Because this has been the case for years. We had a partial hurricane that hit the same general area, specifically Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. Last year, Hurricane Beryl, which did significant damage to housing infrastructure. And a year later, we're nowhere different. And the reason behind that is because the problem that we have is not one that is of yesterday's making. In fact, it's not even of a Melissa or a Beryl, Hurricane Beryl or Melissa's making, but one that has been of the making of our colonial existence. And in the ensuing years that the country became independent, the factor of not having this issue being addressed by our elected parliamentarians. And so it is my view that we have an opportunity caused by Melissa. So Melissa is about, from my interpretation, it's a disaster that provides an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to get this housing problem right. Now, 3 of Jamaica's leading engineering and construction bodies, namely the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, and the Jamaican Institute of Architects, have all issued a similar sober warning at this critical moment. Now, this is a rare unified position by these 3 entities. And they're essentially using their platforms, if you will, to urge the government to rethink its growing reliance on this modular shipping containers, or the use of them as housing solutions in the wake of Hurricane Melissa's catastrophic destruction. Now, once you raise this kind of discussion, can we get it? It's just that I'm not really too afraid of the criticism, because me know the basis of my reasoning is solid. But the minute you oppose something that is presented by the government, it is deemed that you are fighting against the government and you know support the reconstruction. Listen, I'm 60 odd years of age. And so I've seen a whole heap of storms in my time. I've seen a whole heap of underinvestment or disinvestment in the people of Jamaica over those 60 odd years. And I'm going to tell you that the worst thing that happened to Jamaica in its existence is the way we practice politics. Because nobody wants to deal with criticism. Me believe that criticism, I'm an artist by my profession, which means I exhibit my work in a public space all the time. Work that is subject to the critique of the audience, right? Because you learn from criticism. And the problem that I have with our practitioners of politics is that if you oppose them, if you counter their arguments, you're opposing them. And because you're opposing them, you're against them. I've never seen so much bullshit in my entire life, right? Because the only way we grow, we advance as a society, as a country, is by learning to listen to each other. We have had a problem of housing, particularly in that Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Elizabeth geographical area, for the better part of the last 200 years, because it's a function of our slavery existence. We grow sugarcane in those areas, and the people who own the land, most of it was always state-owned land or some big landowner. And the people, the basic structure through which land allocation has been administered doesn't allow the people who live on those lands to have title to the land. In fact, under the law, somebody have to occupy a piece of land for 60 years, 60, before them can effectively apply for title for the land, right? Implicit in that kind of thinking is an approach that is saying ordinary Jamaica people can't own land in the country, especially in them areas. And it is my view that Melissa has provided an absolutely unique opportunity for the powers that be to right size that issue. The government have the power to declare those areas disaster areas, and in the process of that declaration, issue proclamations that provide emergency tenure titles to the occupiers of those lands. And by virtue of the fact that you can do that, once you now put people in a position where they have possession of the lands that they occupy, they can now build proper structures on those lands, right? We have always had to have people building chattel, boardhouse on these lands because they don't own the land. Them lease a house spot. Why me know that? Because me grew up in a Kingston where my mother and father did lease a little house spot in the 1950s and 1960s, and we built a little boardhouse on the house spot. Over time, them take time and add on and build it, turn it in a block and steel house. Literally have to force the owner of the land to allow them to build upon it, right? That is not the case that is applying in Westmoreland. And so for decades, right? Listen, the PNP now win all of the seat them in a Westmoreland. No different than it had been back in the 70s and parts of the 80s, right? Where our politicians had the opportunity since independence to change this thing. PJ Patterson was the MP for that, for a part of our constituency in Westmoreland, among others. And they never did a goddamn thing about changing the legislation to facilitate land ownership by the people who live in these parishes. And so today, as a consequence of Melissa, we have the opportunity to change that. Now, the Master Builders Association et al. Is saying, don't put a container on those lands. With good reason. I mean, it may seem as if this is an expedient and everybody thinking in very short term. It is because we only think short term why we have this problem in the first place. Because if we are prepared to look to the long run, how do we fix this so Jamaicans can feel that they have a stake in the place where they live? Then we can fix the problem. Because according to the Prime Minister, in terms of his deliberations in the Parliament and elsewhere, they are given instructions to buy 5,000 container homes, and he did say some of them are give away. I don't know the basis of how they are give them away. But in principle, where I said, people can apply to National Housing Trust to borrow $3.5 million, then basically put a price tag on these things. And then that provide them with home. Now, if you have $3.5 million, why the hell do you want to buy a zinc pan, a box to live in? A box that has no asset value. Because it doesn't. It's a container, shipping container, that over time it will rotten. And so you can't pass it on to nobody. You can't will that to nobody. It is not an asset that them can get valuations pan and them can use it to entrench themselves and them families in terms of creation of any wealth. But if you can borrow $3.5 million and you get title for your land, build a little concrete structure, like a 20 by 20 structure, partition it until you can find more money for building. At least now you have an asset, a home that you can pass on, that you can leverage. You can borrow money against it. You can borrow money against it to improve it. You can borrow money off of the equity that it generates over time, that you can send your picnic them go a better school, university, or open a business. My position is Melissa has given us an opportunity to change the way how we deal with land tenure and to change the life path of these, the majority of these residents who are affected. If we decide to look at the thing in terms of Jamaica over the next 25, 50, 100 years. Which one you prefer? You want to give a man a little house now? There's a saying that if you give a man a fish, he will eat tonight. You give him a little container house, yeah, he have somewhere to sleep now, despite the fact that it will go hot. Because we talk about, there's a container, a shipping container. So when sun hot, you roasting on that, even if you panel it and you put whatever, because it's not designed. It may work in other countries. It's not designed to work in a Jamaica. And the only way it works is if you have the money to put air conditioning in it. Jamaica man can barely buy enough electricity to run a single light bulb in them house. Much less if you put air conditioning in a zinc pan. Right? And so me can tell you, say, me vehemently opposed to that. If you asleep and I make different arrangements, I have the wherewithal if you can go borrow $3 million from Housing Trust or wherever, take that money. There are contractors out there who are on my threats, who tell you, we can build you a 20 by 20 structure which give you a bathroom, kitchen, and something where you can partition and put maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms and livable. Something that you can will over to your succeeding generation. That may be the point. Right? So we have this crisis that 63 years of self-government, independence, has done nothing to change. And so we now have an opportunity, right? We now have an opportunity. People say, yeah, criticize the Prime Minister. I mean, I criticize the Prime Minister. Me accept that the government of Jamaica, the JLP are the government, and that Andrew Holness is the Prime Minister. But that no means Andrew Holness have all of the answers, right? And me believe that as my Prime Minister, me have ideas that they're willing to share with him, right? And if he want to see it as criticism, that upon him, because and a film job. But we want the best for the country and the best for him and his administration. And in my book, the best is what is best for the people of Jamaica, right? Buying 5,000 containers, who that are going to benefit? We are spending almost $17 billion on that. Who benefit from that? The people them who are going to build the container house them, because only them are going to benefit. Because even if you go borrow $3 million if you go buy one of them something, by the time you don't pay mortgage, that $10 million you pay fee, right? And at the end of you paying the $10 million, it now have no value because it is a depreciating asset. But if you put up a constructed structure, the arrow goes in the opposite direction. And for the people who are the beneficial owners, that arrow benefits not only them, but their heirs and successors over time. Think about it. Think about it. I am not averse. You tell me that you're going to put container homes on it. Tell me, say, give people that as a temporary thing until we can help them find themselves at a more comfortable accommodations that is more durable and more long term. Different argument that, but do we have the money to do that? If our issue is getting people into some sort of a secure space, maybe what we need to do is put up some bivouac tents then and partition it so people can know say them are in this for the next 30 days, 60 days until we can get them in some proper housing. But I am not going to support that, right? And that don't make me anti-government or anti-prime minister. It just means that we have different opinions. There's a problem that is running through Jamaica now, where the country is so stupidly divided that if you oppose one side or the other, you are on the other side. That is bullshit. Absolute crap. Right? We have to recognize and operate at a maturity level that we can have discussions without rancor. Right? My criticizing a proposal is not a criticism of you per se. People reach out to you, boy, we can't believe a man like you are criticizing because I am not buttressing the prime minister on a proposal that I vehemently disagree with. Right? I am against. That is absolute banal bullshit. Right? And there are people who are supposedly intelligent people who you would never expect that from. Because what they're doing is that they have simply structured their thinking that are only inclined to listen to one line of argument. My brain don't work like that. I am a thinker, strategically and otherwise, right? I have the capacity to process things, and I have the ability to present an argument, a cogent argument, right? And I'm not averse to, if I am faced with better information that I have, I'm not averse to bringing it on board. So far, I've not gotten that yet. And so we have an absolute opportunity to change the trajectory of our development. Do we want to look at a recovery in the context of one that just puts us back to where we're coming from? Or do we want to use this opportunity of a recovery to build the kind of Jamaica that all the way gonna be proud of? My little grandson, who is not even a year old yet, I would love to a Jamaica that when him reach 25 and so, him can say, you know something, my granddaddy, this is the kind of Jamaica that he envisioned when he used to talk about it, right? And that's where I think we should all be as Jamaicans, because this is not about JLP or PNP. Because the storm never licked down Jamaica Labour Party man house or PNP man house. It licked down everybody house. Bob Marley said the rain never fall for one man house, right? And so when we are look upon the thing in terms of a recovery, let's look long term. Yes, some people are going to be in a state of inconvenience until we can build this back, right? But we have to look at concretizing our redevelopment so that we build accommodations that is storm-proof, right? That at the very, no matter how severe the weather system is, these people are going to be able to survive. And we have the technologies there and the opportunity has presented itself. And I believe that we should use it. Tell me what you think about what we think. You know, this is not the first video I've done on this thing, but I'm putting this up because now we have professional view. I expressed this view at the beginning, a few days after the hurricane, when I see people, because I was even intending to help buy 1 or 2 containers for other people. Until I processed it, I realized, no, I'm not knocking anybody who have done that. I'm just figuring now that we have to look at the long view, because that's what Jamaica is all about. 2 man getting back a house and him comfortable, that doesn't improve the position of the country. We need to look at something that is long term and it serves the majority of Jamaicans. And that is where I am standing. So tell me what you think. If you like the video, you know it go. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because that helps me. And let's have this discussion in the comment section. You know, nobody really fool idiot politics, because I'm done with that. And if you come in a thing with that, they will run you out of my place, right? We want to articulate, intelligent, considered exchange, right? If you disagree with me, nothing wrong, but sell me why you disagree with me. And don't tell me about timing and people I live out a door, right? Because, you know, we have to do better than that. Somehow we have to make a sacrifice so that the entire country move in a proper direction, right? More time.